What do we mean when we talk of decarbonisation? We mean the removal of greenhouse gases harmful to the environment. If you are serious about decarbonising and want to address net zero, then you have to address all three scopes of carbon. Scope 1 represents the emissions that come from our direct operations, our company facilities and company vehicles. Scope 2 is an indirect emission and is very specific. This is our purchased electricity that we use for steam, heating and cooling within our kitchens. However, the vast majority of our carbon footprint, over 90%, comes from across our entire supply chain, both upstream and downstream. If we look at upstream, the vast majority of our carbon footprint comes from the ingredients that we buy and any processing of those ingredients, even before they reach our factory gates. As we'll see later, our ingredients represent 2/3 of our entire carbon footprint. The majority of that is derived from meat and animal proteins, but we also have to factor in the energy used by our suppliers in the preparation of those ingredients. We have to look at the manufacture of our packaging and meals trays that we need. We have to look at our business travel, and we even have to calculate the impact of our employees commuting. Not to mention any food waste that is generated in our operations. Let's now look at the emissions downstream in our supply chain. Here we are largely considering how our products are used, and by that I mean how customers freeze and cook our meals. So if we're looking at Wiltshire Farm Food customers, we are looking at the energy consumption of the different types of microwaves that they use. If we're going into a hospital, we're considering the energy usage of a regeneration trolley. In a care home, school or nursery, we're looking at different types of ovens. And then we've got to factor in all the different types of freezers, the refrigerants they use, and the energy they consume. We then calculate the end-of-life treatment of those meals, and specifically the packaging. Any systems that recycle our packaging, for example, will reduce our carbon footprint. When looking at our Scope 3, we've even got to consider the impact of our wider franchise network and their carbon emissions. So we're looking to measure the impact of their cold stores and their delivery vehicles. They all impact on our whole supply chain carbon footprint. And it's not only the ingredients and packaging, but we've also got to factor in the transport from our suppliers to us. If you are truly serious about addressing climate change and reducing carbon, and making a credible net zero commitment, then it's not simply enough to just focus on your Scope 1 direct operations like many choose to. You absolutely have to focus on your whole supply chain. You have to address all three scopes of carbon. Otherwise your claims will simply be greenwashing, and that we will never be guilty of.